Welcome back to Breezy Willow Acres. I'm Jay. So today we're going to do a little something different. I got a couple things for you. We're going to take a quick tour through our small greenhouse. We finally got it kind of set up. My dad's been working on doing things out there. So I'm going to walk you through that and kind of tell you what we got going on there. I'm going to be working on amending a Greenstalk and then getting some bush beans and some other things planted in it. So got a lot going on today. Stay tuned. So here we have our greenhouse, Greenstalk. Silly me. Our greenhouse. It's a little 10 by 20 hoop style. My dad's been doing some work in here. We've got a hose running so we can water things in here. It looks like he's got the thing open because it's getting pretty steamy in here already. He's been setting up a little table so far so he can do some work. Looks like he's done some transplants. Transplant some plants out. We've got some starts going in here. Let's see, what do we got? Take a peek if we can. He likes to do bonsais, but let's see, Marzano tomatoes, Romas, sauce tomato, beefsteaks. We've got some the purple pink here is some amaranth. We're gonna get that planted as a kind of a bug trap. It looks like some more, those might be peppers. I think he's overwatering them, so I'm gonna have to talk to him about that. He had some strawberries out here, but he's already moved them. He must have moved them into his Greenstalk, so no harm. Oh, here's a couple of strawberries. So we still got 2 strawberries out here and 1 more here. I'm not sure what he's got planted in these. Let's see. Looks like some chard. Probably it's all chard. They love chard. And then these, I believe, are all different types of squash, or at least they might be all butternut squash. My mom loves butternut squash, so you know, we got that going for us there too. But so this side's going to be a work table. He's got a couple of shelves that are going to go on this wall, and then along this wall we're probably going to be able to get, I think, 3 raised planter beds. I've got 1. I still got to get it out here and get it set up, and then we can do some planting in here as well, just to do a little bit of greenhouse planting. Obviously it's not going to be a lot of tall stuff. This thing's maybe at the center. I'm 6'1". It's probably about 7 feet tall in the center, so we won't be planting anything super tall. No tomatoes, things like that in here. But yep, that's the greenhouse. It's a baby greenhouse, but it's a nice starter thing for us. And we're looking forward to using it more, much more in the winter, that's for sure. Now, one of the things I've talked about off and on is how we're planting some things up at our place in our garden, and then some things up here at my parents' house. Now, this is the initial area we set up for my dad's garden. Obviously we haven't done anything to clear it out yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the boxes, get all the metal out. I'm going to do a small till on it. I've got just a little rototiller on that I can use my tractor, and I'm going to actually till this entire area up, and then we're going to use this for our tall plants. We're going to put our trellises up here. We'll have our tomatoes and cucumbers. Anything else that's going to require, you know, that's relatively tall will be planted in here. So that's one of the things I'm going to be prepping probably this coming weekend. I've just talked about it a lot, and we haven't actually come up here and walked through things. We had some tomatoes up here last year, a cucumber, some peppers, some Swiss chard. All of it was actually produced really well, except for the one lone little eggplant that survived from my dad planting things a little too early before we were ready to get them out in the ground. I believe we had so many tomatoes coming up right here that I think we're probably going to get some volunteers here shortly, if we're not already getting some. I think we are. I've got some weeds to pull up. But yep, we'll be getting this tilled up. We're going to actually try to back to Eden method up here, but we're probably going to have to augment it a little bit to start because we didn't have it sitting over winter. So we'll be doing stuff to get this all prepped up. This is another area where I'm probably going to till up, and we're going to probably plant some watermelon or pumpkins or something. Probably the watermelon up here. But you can see from the greenhouse, it's hard to tell slope, but right at basically where the the electrical pole is, when it swings off to this side, it starts sloping down. So I'm gonna probably right at the slope, right through here, till that up, and hopefully it'll kind of go down the hill, not come up this way. We tend to use the right side here as a kind of a mini drive for us to go back and forth between the two houses. So I'm hoping that by putting it on the hill, it'll kind of flow this way. If not, I'll try and make it flow this way, and we'll see how it does. So I got everything prepped up. I got my soil here, I got my compost. I'm gonna start taking this Greenstalk apart. I don't think there's any wasps in it, but hey, you might get to see me dance some. So we'll just see how things go. We did buy these trellising things from the Greenstalk folks, and they worked great for our tomatoes. We had a lot of tomatoes, cherry tomatoes in this particular Greenstalk, and yeah, wasps. They are particularly buzzy today, but as I was saying, these things work great for holding up the tomatoes. I don't think we're going to have to use them for anything we're putting in here this year. Well, the bush beans might need it. I'm not sure yet. We also have it on the Lazy Susan's turnstile without the wheels. Where we've got it set up is pretty much our permanent spot, but we don't want it blowing around in the wind, so, you know, no wheels. Mostly what I'm pulling up is our old tomato. Go. That on there. Yeah, this will be easier. Y'all don't need to see my butt. Those things are awesome, I gotta say. They did a pretty good job with the design on those. Overall, I have liked everything about the Greenstalks. Ooh, little spooter. Die, spooter, die. Ooh, grass. bottoms here was where we had our last bush beans last year. Everything we planted last year was a little late in the season, so we didn't get as much yield out of anything like we'd hoped. I think I'm getting some volunteer tomatoes in here, probably from some of the cherry tomatoes that had fallen from above it. Oh yeah, nice rich soil underneath. Right. You guys get to watch me struggle under the weight of the soil. Ha ha. And I'm still going to need some more. Unfortunately, this bag was very, very wet when I got it from the big box, one of the big box stores. So it's heavier than it would be normally, but it makes it nice and moist. All right. First one done. And I'm just gonna pick a random one and do the next. So for those of you that are curious, we are using this Kellogg raised bed and potting mix. We had good success with it in the Greenstalks last year, also in our planters that I kind of showed you all in our last garden video. But we got, this was recommended by Heather at Sage and Stone Homestead, and so we gave it a shot and it's working great. She did notice that after a year or so, this stuff has a lot of hard organics, woods, things like that, chips in it. So she did notice, I think she's had a nitrogen spike the second year using it when she amended. So it's just something to keep in mind. as you're going forward with reusing some of the soil. I'm not putting a super bunch of compost in here, just a nice layer just underneath where the seeds are going to get planted, so that when the roots start to take hold, they've got some nice nutrients to grab onto in their first few weeks. And this gardening thing's definitely not a clean job. Now this is going to settle some because I've stirred it all up and kind of got some air, oxygen back in it. But that's the nice thing about this, is the plants need the air and the oxygen just as much as they need the water to help them do what they need to do. If you've never had a Greenstalk or put one together yet, I'm going to try and get my camera angled in. They have these cool little notches. I don't know if you can see them very well, but they basically go over the one that's below it and it locks it in place. And it has one on each as it connects to each one. I have found, I mean, this Greenstalk was out here when we were getting our 60 to 80 mile an hour winds in the storm that we just had. I think it was March 14th, and it survived it, didn't get knocked over, didn't fall over, anything. So I would say that they are pretty darn sturdy. one of the things you probably noticed me doing is they provide these little caps for each tier. And what you do is there's a hole that runs through the middle. You just put these on, centered on that hole, and then as you're putting water in the top, it'll fill up here to do the top layer, but it'll also drain down through the hole and start watering all the ones below. So you don't have to water them on the outside necessarily unless you've just seeded. In that case, you want to make sure that it's watered, but once they start sprouting, you can just water through the top and it's great. All right. And there we go. So we put our top on. And it's got little clips on here too that you clip on with. And that's it. Greenstalk amended. 15, 20, 30 minutes. Good to go. I've got a second one to do, but I think I'm going to have to get another bag of compost. I've only got one. I'll probably, Carpenter Bees. I'll probably have to get another one from the big box store, but I can do that later in the week. This one I wanted to get our bush beans, and we're going to do one round of cherry tomatoes in here, and I'm starting them from seed. We'll see how it goes. So what I'll be planting in here this time is we're going to do some of these Royal Burgundy bush beans, some regular just contender bush beans. Going to do some Swiss chard on the very top. We don't need any support for these, so I won't have to use those support rails. And then we're going to do one tier that has these tomatoes. We loved these tomatoes last year. They were so delicious. So we want to make sure we've got more. So in our last garden video, I mentioned that we were going to be planting some soybeans in one of the planters, and I did do that the other day. This is the brand we planted, or the type. It's a Chiba green soybean, and we planted them in this planter. It's only been a day, maybe two. Can't remember exactly. It's been a day or two. No sprouting yet, of course. It says it takes 10 to 14 days. So sometime next week we should see some stuff sprouting out from there. And then we've got our three different types of radishes in this one. And of course I haven't cleaned out any of the kale to help with carrots. But honestly, the carrots are actually still growing fairly well. Most of them are. So we'll see. So thanks for joining us today on our second gardening video. We appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I know I'm not doing any of this exactly 100% correct, so if you have any suggestions or something I can do better, I appreciate all the comments, and y'all have a great day.